Right, Dan Orlovsky, co-host of NFL Live, who is joining us, ESPN NFL analyst, and really analyst of all things, especially Drake, music, feuds, all of that, Dan.
Yeah. I don't know about all that, and certainly there's been plenty of times, Kay, where we have gone to live TV and completely unaware of it. So sometimes it's you're caught up in the moment. You know how it is. Sometimes it's laziness.
Yeah, we're coming kitchen to kitchen here. Action. Dan, great friend of mine. So happy for all of your success and more to come. And congrats to UConn. You know, 8 seed in the West. I don't know what I'm talking about, but I'm going to pretend. I got to say, this Dan Hurley gentleman seems a
Love
little
him.
wild. Tell me about
Yeah,
him.
he's a maniac. He's a So us UConn people love Hurley. So, um, there was really high expectations for UConn going into this season. Probably not real because they're back-to-back national titles. And my wife said something to me the other day. She's like, "Man, UConn, disappointing that they didn't even get to the championship," in reference to the loss to Creighton the other night and not make it to the Big East title. I was like, "Babe, they had two kids get drafted, I think, in the top 10, in both Stefan Castle and Donovan Clingan. And then their two kind of guards last year were just great college basketball players. One of them's playing decent minutes for the Grizzlies. So like four big time players left. So it wasn't real to think that they were going to repeat it. But for like my generation of UConn, we grew up with Jim Calhoun. Like we
Hmm.
watched Jim Calhoun be an absolute it's intense. There's an intense personality on the sideline that you love. And it's one of the reasons why UConn has had the basketball success. And when Hurley came and obviously has rebuilt it to one of the premier basketball programs in the country, again, if not the premier, I mean, it's the same stuff. He's on the sideline, just absolutely
Yeah, I like it.
bringing in. Yeah, he's awesome. I love him. I love him.
Dan, who is the Dan Hurley of the NFL in terms of coaches? Is it like a little Sirianni, or is that not
Yeah.
okay to say? Who is
um,
it?
Yes, there's a little bit of Sirianni there for sure, just with the kind of the brash, in your face at
Hmm.
times personality. Um, maybe Sean Payton from years ago. Sean's maybe mellowed out
Ooh,
just a little bit.
yeah,
I'm trying to think
Denver.
if there's an NFL coach that's a little bit more intense on the sidelines. I got to go by division. That's how my mind goes. So AFC East, no one really stands out. AFC West. No one stands out. Maybe
LaFleur, if he's
Harbaugh.
facing the Lions, you know?
Yeah, maybe. LaFleur if he's facing the Bears,
Here we go.
because of some of the comments.
Yes, yes, yes.
But yeah, I think there's a decent amount of coaches that are pretty good with that.
Yeah, you said the three-peat thing. So the Chiefs couldn't do it. You just heard from Justin Reed. They couldn't start quick. They got, he said demolish the bleeding
Yeah.
stop. Like that's Justin Reed, a two-time Super Bowl champ, saying that. I was at Players Championship this weekend. Scheffler couldn't get it done three-peat. Why can UConn three-peat? And it's been done before. I looked it up. UCLA did it in the 70s.
I think UConn can. It's a long shot. I don't feel confident about it.
Mm.
They right now, I think the difference with their basketball team the past two seasons and this year is two things, in my opinion. One, last year they always had someone to just control the game, and it was really their guards, like Cam Spencer or Newton would just control the game, no matter what the vibe of the game was. They could just figure out a way to control it, settle down, get us into our offense. And I think the second thing is very rarely, if ever, did they take bad, selfish shots. They do that a
Mm.
lot more this year. And I think one is attached to two. So that would have to be something that would have to change. Their bracket's pretty tough. I think their first game versus OU is pretty tough. So I'm not banking on it. The SEC is absolutely, I think the SEC is probably a better basketball conference than football conference this year. So
Yeah.
it's a uphill climb for this year. The past 2 years they were the favorites. They're not so at all this year.
They're the 8 seed, everybody. They got 9 seed Oklahoma Friday. And clip this off and send it and tag it to them, guys. So then Dan Hurley can put Dan Orlovsky in a headlock and play this.
I'll
They
get a
don't.
text, I'm sure.
Dan doesn't believe in you, UConn.
Yeah, there you
He
go.
doesn't believe in you.
There you go.
Okay. I've tried tap dancing around this enough. We have to talk about Aaron Rodgers. I tried holding off as much as I could. I know you've got your fill of him over there at the world leader, ESPN. Pop up the picture of him. So it's Malibu. It's his personal beach. He's got a blanket over him. How the Paps get this is how does he not see somebody with a camera there? Is my first question. Secondly, you're a quarterback. You know the position. You know this cat in and out. What is he mulling over? What is he thinking?
Well, one, if he's going to play again, it's not going to anywhere. You want to go to a place that I don't think Aaron wants to end his career the way that it has over the last 24 months. An all-time great that has had the mindset that he's has doesn't want to go out that way, in my opinion. So out of the teams that have 0 to 100, 5 to 100% interest in him, who are those teams? And is it worth the commitment from the player perspective or his perspective to go there? Because you don't want to just go. I don't think he wants to just go to a place just to keep playing. He wants to go to a place that, one, can win and believe in that. And then two, he can play to the level that he wants to play at. And he knows he needs the support to do that. And at least you hear conversations that the desire for him is Minnesota. That's the starting point for him. And now Minnesota is thinking about it. I have been outspoken. If I was Minnesota or in that building, I would not do that. There's nothing negative against Aaron. I just feel that once Minnesota let Sam Darnold walk out of their building, they made a clear line of demarcation. We are moving forward with JJ McCarthy. And I think that's the right decision. Do I think if Aaron goes there, he would play well? I think a lot of quarterbacks that go to Minnesota would play well. But I think just in that moment, Minnesota, let's go to the future. And if not Minnesota, I would imagine he's planning for, well, if Minnesota comes to him and says no, then is it Pittsburgh? And does he want to go to Pittsburgh? Does he think he could play well in Pittsburgh? Does he think they can win in Pittsburgh? And one of the things, Kay, that hasn't been talked about enough, in my opinion, by a lot of people is Aaron has run the same offense for the most part for, let's call it 10 years, if not 20. Minnesota's offense is very different than the one that he's at least been in comfort-wise. He's not a guy that loves a ton of motion, or he at least hasn't done it a lot lately. He's not a guy that loves a ton of different formations. And that's something that is the backbone of Minnesota. So, does he want to go to a Minnesota or a Pittsburgh knowing you're going to run very different schemes and probably some language that he hasn't done?
I'm trying to, I've heard everything you've said about him everywhere, all over ESPN, everywhere. And it's all like what the team should do, which is very responsible of you. But for me, I'm like, what would Aaron want to do? If you're Aaron, like, I understand what you're saying about scheme, but like Arthur Smith, Kevin O'Connell, like you're saying every quarterback. So he's got to want, I guess, to go to Minnesota. I'll ask you, like, JJ McCarthy, who gives them, the only question I have if I am Minnesota is who gives me a better chance to win the Super Bowl in 2025? Is it JJ McCarthy or Aaron Rodgers? What would your answer to that be?
It's probably Aaron Rodgers, but it's not that black and white, Kay. One, it is. I don't know what their cap situation is right now, but I know they've spent a lot of money in the last week. So, does that mean that they can't add another player or two that they want to, add? I don't know. I got to check into that a little bit. Two, do I think Aaron can do it one time?
I'm asking Hamilton, Dan. He's on it. It's 32 mil. 32 mil. Ham, you can pop on.
Probably enough to afford him, would be my guess. But is it Aaron that you get? You're not going to get 20 weeks of that Aaron. It is what it is. The age is what it is. So I don't think you're going to get that 20 weeks. Now, do you need it? Probably not. We just don't really know what JJ is.
I know, but that's why you got to get Aaron. Like, I think I know
the pushback I would say to you is this. What message are you sending to McCarthy?
I don't know if I care, because I just want to win a Super Bowl. And like the idea of like the pride of like, we took this guy, we maybe made the wrong choice, or the injury. We don't know, like, we don't know what he is. So if you have a chance to get Aaron, you can't let that stop you, I guess, if you have this window. And we haven't seen JJ play in a game yet in the NFL. And I think the team does have a lot of confidence in him, but I don't know. My message would be, hey, Mahomes sitting behind Alex Smith wasn't that dumb of an idea. Right, Aaron Rodgers sitting behind Brett.
Sure. I mean, Patrick sat for a year. I mean, I think if you're yes, you want to go to Minnesota if you're Aaron, but if you're Minnesota, do you think that JJ McCarthy in 7-8 months from now is going to play really good football? Because if you think he's going to play really good football, then again, I don't think you bring, and this is,
Mhm.
I hope people don't take the comment, Aaron, you're bringing in Aaron Rodgers. That's a big, big, big deal. You're not just bringing in a really good quarterback, you're bringing in Aaron Rodgers. And so everybody in your building needs to be on board with that. Everybody, your owner, your GM, the people in your front office, your head coach. And if you're Kevin O'Connell, you just bring up his name. And I would say, what happens if Aaron doesn't want to run your stuff that much? What happens if he doesn't want a ton of motions and shifts? Are you willing to adjust in that regard? Because then I would say that's taking away your superpower.
It's a great call. Yeah, I don't know. That's good. Who gives, yeah. Who could take, which team could he take further with where they are? Like Steelers, I understand what you're saying about scheme, but he's going to go do what he wants anyway. So like Arthur Smith, good luck. Would he get along with Tomlin better than would get along with Kevin O'Connell in that division? Which team could he take further? Who's got the better defense? Like these are things, which team between the Steelers and the Vikings? I know he's got an offer from the Giants.
Minnesota, better roster.
He could take them further.
I think so. Yeah. Minnesota's a better roster. Okay, if I just went down to 32 quarterbacks in the NFL, I would tell you 26 of them would go to Minnesota and play pretty darn good football. I mean, you have the three things needed: scheme and play caller, great offensive line, great perimeter talent. So a lot of quarterbacks are going to play well there. Do I think that Aaron, obviously because of the way he played at the back end of last year, and then his background speaks to this is a guy that we can go really far with? Yes. But that doesn't mean JJ's not that guy either. But only their building knows that. Like only their building knows that. Just because you can with Aaron, or you think you can with Aaron, doesn't mean you can't with JJ McCarthy.
It's true. It's just funny because he's like on the beach trying to figure it out. He's got these two offers, and of course, Aaron, probably because he's not getting it from Minnesota, wants it from Minnesota. And then if he doesn't get it, is he retiring? I can't imagine. He'll go to the Steelers.
I think he goes to Pittsburgh. I think if he doesn't go to Minnesota, and honestly, I would imagine Minnesota right now, it's a very real conversation for them. And they're probably legit, kind of like what we see in movies at times, sitting around in a room all talking about, it's not just football. Like, is everybody on board with this? I think if it doesn't come from Minnesota, then Pittsburgh has to be a very real option for him. You don't have to be the guy that has to go change the building, change the culture, which is expected to in New York. You get to go just play quarterback. It's TJ Watt's team. It's Cam Hayward's team. It's Minka Fitzpatrick's team. You don't have to go and be the everything. You just have to go play really good quarterback. I think because of the receivers, you can. And because of the defense, that's a good unit. You can win a lot of games. And I mean, they could compete. I would put them in that second tier in the AFC if he went.
Oof. We'll see what shakes out. I know you have to go. I don't know. We just talked about Aaron Rodgers. I do want to ask you, speaking of AFC and AFC North, even in that division, what I love about you, maybe more than anything in this past year, is you've just been my Bengals guy. You've been Bengals, Joe Burrow. I love seeing it. They get this big deal done. It's the news of the day. I'm kind of sick of it. I'm happy they kept T. I thought that would never happen. We knew Jamar would get paid. Now they have to fix the defense. They might pull it off with Trey Hendrickson. Are you willing, my friend, to even ahead of the draft, tell me that the Bengals will be back ruling the North this year?
I'm never betting against Joe Burrow. I'm just not. I'll ride with Joe Burrow and Jamar. I was shocked that they got him done. Honestly, I was the two receivers. I'm floored. And everyone said, oh, there's so much pressure on Joe Burrow now. He's Joe Burrow, guys. You don't think he's widely aware of the pressure that he has? He transferred to LSU. Yeah, I think he understands what pressure is. There's no more added pressure. And I put this out, Kay, this morning because we'll see if they get Trey done. I don't think that we'll see. And I said their front office better become great at identifying, developing, and drafting. Everyone's like, and Howie Roseman did it. What people don't realize is 7 out of the 11 starters for Philly's defense last year were on first year deals. 7 out of 11 starters. And the 8th guy was Zach Bond, who was signed for like $1 million. So 8 out of your 11 guys essentially on the number 1 defense in the NFL are on first year contracts. That's how you could pay quarterback and 2 wide receivers. and still be successful. That's kind of what the Bengals front office needs to try and model.
Yeah, you don't seem very confident in the Trey Hendrickson deal getting done, which makes me itchy and very nervous. So I'm just we'll leave it
I've
there.
heard, I've heard
What?
positive thoughts.
Oh,
I've heard positive thoughts, but I don't know. But I've heard positive thoughts, but it still doesn't make sense to my brain.
okay. Yeah, me neither. I know you have to go. Can we do a blind ranking of food before you
Of
go
course,
quickly?
of course, I got
Love
time.
that.
You're
Okay.
good.
Your food takes are legendary, Dan Orlovsky.
Okay.
They're on my algorithm. What? What? You said okay?
Yeah, I'm good. Yeah.
I know you as the guy who eats, a box of Choco Tacos with me back in the day, which I love. We're going to have you blind rank some foods 1 through 5.
Uh-huh.
So spaghetti with ketchup, where are you putting that 1 through 5? You love ketchup, apparently.
Oh, I fry the spaghetti. What I do is it's like day old
Oh.
spaghetti or noodles, and I just like fry it in butter. I don't do this that often because I try to eat a little cleaner, but I would put this at a 4.
F4.
And then
Okay.
I put ketchup on it. Yeah.
How about just a milk chocolate? Just regular, what could you possibly have against milk chocolate, Dan?
It's boring. Milk chocolate is like, I'm gonna put it at 3, but I want to put it at 5, but I'll put it at 3 for now. But I just don't. It's not worth my time. Not worth the calories.
That's insane. How about these new, speaking of calories, Rice Krispies treats, ice cream sandwich, viral everywhere right now. Okay.
Put them at a 6. Not touching them. Not touching them.
Why? Are you unhinged? Why?
Why would I? Why would I eat that?
Because it's delicious. Okay.
Homemade Rice Krispie treats are so much better,
True.
like taste wise. 2, I'm a chocolate person, so I like a traditional ice cream sandwich.
They do have the chocolate Rice Krispies treat, but I'm not even going to bring that up. How about this? In honor of St. Patrick's Day, Lucky Charms.
Not touching it. I put it at a 6 or a 7. I'm a Cracklin' Oat Bran cereal person. Cracklin' Oat Bran, maybe some Frosted Flakes. I'm also a soggy cereal person.
I heard you're a soggy cereal person, also a
The
serial
best.
killer. In my book here, and you're gonna, obviously ESPN's all over the coverage for the draft. It's in Green Bay. Cheese curds, where would you slot them?
If I'm in Wisconsin, 1. I had cheese curds when I went on a golf trip to Wisconsin for the first time in my life. Up to we went to Erin Hills and Whistling Straits, and I had cheese curds for the first time, and I was like, these are the greatest things ever. 1 runaway 1.
Runaway. That's really runaway 1 is really hard to say. And it's why you do what you do on the biggest stage that there is. Dan, you are so incredible. A joy to watch. I always get smarter watching your Cam Ward thing this morning. I was like, yes, teach me. It's like taking a USB port from your brain into mine every time I watch. So, one of the biggest bummers of my career is when you chose to go to ESPN over staying at Good Morning Football with me, because I would have died to have been your teammate. But wishing you luck with everything. Can't wait to see what happens next. And thanks for the time.
Oh, thank you. I feel the same way about you. And you never know. We'll see what the future holds, whatnot. We can do something. You never know. A lot of time.
So cryptic, and I love it for you. You're going to get everything that you deserve because you are so hardworking and amazing. ESPN NFL analyst, co-host of NFL Live, Dan Orlovsky. Thank you.
Thanks, guy.